You know what changes everything? The words you speak to yourself when nobody else is listening. Right now, in this very moment, you have the power to transform your entire existence simply by changing the conversation you're having inside your own mind. Most people spend their whole lives waiting for someone else to give them permission to be happy, to be successful, to be loved. But I'm here to tell you that the only permission you need comes from within. The only validation that truly matters is the validation you give yourself. Every single morning when you open your eyes, you have a choice. You can either continue the same old patterns of negative self-talk that have kept you stuck, or you can choose to speak words of power, words of truth, words that align with the highest vision of who you're meant to be. And that's what we're going to talk about today. 9 simple statements that, when spoken with intention and belief, can literally rewire your brain and reshape your reality. The first thing you need to tell yourself every single day is this: I am enough exactly as I am right now. Not when you lose 10 pounds, not when you get that promotion, not when you find the perfect relationship. Right now, in this present moment, with all your perceived flaws and imperfections, you are enough. You see, most of us have been programmed from childhood to believe that we need to earn our worthiness. We were told we needed to get good grades to be worthy of love. We needed to behave a certain way to be accepted. We needed to achieve certain things to matter. But that's a lie. That's the biggest lie ever perpetuated on humanity. You didn't come into this world needing to prove anything. When you were born, you were already complete. You were already whole. You were already worthy of love and belonging. Somewhere along the way, somebody convinced you that you weren't good enough, and you believed them. But today, right now, you can choose to stop believing that story. You can choose to recognize that your worthiness isn't conditional. It's not something you have to earn or achieve. It's your birthright. It's who you are at your core. When you wake up and tell yourself, I am enough, you're not being arrogant, you're not being selfish, you're simply acknowledging the truth of your being. You're recognizing that you are a divine creation, a unique expression of life itself, and that you have value simply because you exist. This doesn't mean you stop growing or evolving. It means you grow from a place of wholeness rather than from a place of lack. You evolve because you're excited about becoming more of who you already are, not because you're trying to fix something that's fundamentally broken. The second thing you must tell yourself is, I am responsible for my own happiness. Nobody else can make you happy, not your spouse, not your children, not your boss, not your friends. They can contribute to your happiness, sure, they can enhance your joy, but they cannot create it for you. Happiness is an inside job. It's a choice you make, a perspective you adopt, a practice you cultivate. When you wake up every morning and remind yourself that you are responsible for your own happiness, you take back your power. You stop being a victim of circumstances. You stop waiting for life to happen to you, and you start happening to life. Think about how much energy you've wasted blaming other people for your unhappiness. Your parents messed you up. Your ex broke your heart. Your boss doesn't appreciate you. Your friends let you down. And maybe all of that is true. Maybe people have hurt you. Maybe life has been unfair. But when you hold on to that blame, when you keep pointing the finger at everyone else, you give away your power. You make other people responsible for something that only you can control. When you say, I am responsible for my own happiness, you're not saying that other people's actions don't matter. You're saying that regardless of what other people do, you get to choose how you respond. You get to choose what meaning you assign to events. You get to choose whether you're going to let circumstances defeat you or whether you're going to rise above them. This is the most liberating realization you can ever have. Because once you understand that your happiness doesn't depend on external conditions, you become unstoppable. You become free. The third declaration you need to make every single day is, I choose love over fear in every situation. Fear is the default setting for most human beings. We're wired for survival, and fear served us well when we were running from predators on the savannah. But in modern life, fear rarely protects us. More often it limits us. It keeps us small. It keeps us stuck. It prevents us from pursuing our dreams, from expressing our truth, from opening our hearts to connection and possibility. Every decision you make in life comes down to one of two emotions, love or fear. You can make choices based on what you're afraid of losing, or you can make choices based on what you love and want to create. When you operate from fear, you play not to lose. You stay in relationships that don't serve you because you're afraid of being alone. You stay in jobs that drain your soul because you're afraid of financial insecurity. You keep your opinions to yourself because you're afraid of judgment. You don't pursue your dreams because you're afraid of failure. But when you choose love, everything changes. When you choose love, you play to win. You make decisions based on what brings you joy, what lights you up, What makes you feel alive? You have the courage to leave situations that don't honor who you are. You have the courage to speak your truth even when your voice shakes. You have the courage to take risks, to fail, to get back up and try again. Love expands you. Fear contracts you. Love opens doors. Fear closes them. Love says yes to life. Fear says no. Every morning when you remind yourself to choose love over fear, you're setting an intention for how you want to move through your day. You're programming your mind to look for opportunities rather than obstacles. You're training yourself to respond to challenges with courage rather than anxiety. And the more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, love becomes your default setting instead of fear. The fourth thing to tell yourself is, I trust the timing of my life. We live in a culture that's obsessed with instant gratification. We want what we want and we want it now. We compare ourselves to other people and wonder why they're further ahead. We look at our goals and feel frustrated that we haven't achieved them yet. We question whether we're on the right path, whether we're doing enough, whether we're ever going to get where we want to go. But life doesn't work on your timeline. Life works on its own timeline. And everything that's happening right now, everything you're experiencing, every delay and detour and disappointment is happening for a reason. You're exactly where you need to be to learn what you need to learn to become who you need to become. There are no accidents, there are no mistakes, there's only the perfect unfolding of your life in the exact way it needs to unfold. When you tell yourself, I trust the timing of my life, you release the need to control everything. You stop resisting what is and you start accepting what is. You stop fighting against the current and you start flowing with it. This doesn't mean you become passive. It doesn't mean you stop setting goals or taking action. It means you do what you can do and then you surrender the outcome. You plant the seeds and you trust that they'll bloom when the time is right. Think about the times in your life when something didn't work out the way you planned, and looking back, you can see that it was actually a blessing in disguise. The relationship that ended made room for a better one. The job you didn't get led you to an opportunity you never would have found. The failure you experienced taught you something essential that prepared you for future success. What if everything that's happening right now is setting you up for something amazing that you can't even see yet? What if the delays are protecting you? What if the obstacles are redirecting you? What if it's all working out perfectly? The fifth statement you must make every day is, I am willing to see things differently. Most of our suffering comes not from the events of our lives, but from the way we interpret those events. Two people can experience the exact same situation and have completely different responses based on their perception. One person loses their job and sees it as a catastrophe. Another person loses their job and sees it as an opportunity. One person gets diagnosed with an illness and sees it as a death sentence. Another person gets the same diagnosis and sees it as a wake-up call to start living more fully. The willingness to see things differently is the key to freedom. When you're stuck in a particular way of seeing a situation, you're stuck in the suffering that perspective creates. But when you open yourself to the possibility that there might be another way to look at it, you create space for healing and transformation. You don't have to know what that different perspective is, you just have to be willing to see it. This applies to every area of your life. That person who hurt you, you can see them as your enemy or you can see them as your teacher. That mistake you made, you can see it as proof of your inadequacy, or you can see it as a stepping stone to wisdom. That limitation you have, you can see it as a curse, or you can see it as an opportunity to develop other strengths. Your willingness to shift your perception doesn't change the facts of what happened, but it changes everything about how those facts affect you. Every morning when you tell yourself, I am willing to see things differently, you're loosening your grip on your rigid interpretations of reality. You're acknowledging that your perception is not the only perception, that your way of seeing is not the only way of seeing. You're opening yourself to guidance, to insight, to possibilities you hadn't considered. And when you do this consistently, miracles start to happen. Solutions appear, relationships heal, doors open, not because reality changed, but because you changed the way you're looking at reality. The sixth thing to remind yourself is, I am connected to an infinite source of wisdom and creativity. You are not separate from the universe. You are not isolated or alone. You are part of an intelligent, creative force that animates all of life. Call it God, call it source, call it the universe, call it whatever resonates with you. The label doesn't matter. What matters is recognizing that you have access to a wellspring of wisdom and creativity that exists beyond your conscious mind. Most people live their entire lives cut off from this source. They rely solely on their ego, their intellect, their personal will, And while these things have their place, they're limited. Your ego can only take you so far. Your intellect can only solve certain kinds of problems. Your personal will can only sustain you for so long. But when you tap into something greater than yourself, when you align yourself with the creative intelligence of the universe, you become capable of things that seem impossible. This isn't about religious belief. This isn't about following someone else's dogma. This is about recognizing that you are part of something vast and mysterious and infinitely intelligent. The same force that grows an oak tree from an acorn, that heals a wound without your conscious intervention, that orchestrates the perfect timing of seasons and tides, this same force is flowing through you. You have access to it. You can call upon it. You can allow it to work through you. When you wake up every morning and affirm your connection to this infinite source, you stop trying to figure everything out on your own. You stop forcing and pushing and struggling. Instead, you ask, you listen, you receive. You allow inspiration to flow to you. You trust that the answers you need will come when you need them. You relax into the knowing that you're being guided and supported every step of the way. The seventh declaration is, I release what no longer serves me. You're carrying around so much unnecessary weight, old grudges, past hurts, limiting beliefs, toxic relationships, unhealthy patterns, outdated versions of yourself. All of this is weighing you down, keeping you from moving forward, preventing you from becoming who you're meant to be. And the only person who can release it is you. Holding on to the past is like trying to drive forward while looking in the rearview mirror. You can't see where you're going because you're too focused on where you've been. Every morning when you tell yourself, I release what no longer serves me, you're giving yourself permission to let go. You're choosing to stop carrying the burden of everything that's happened to you. You're choosing to stop identifying with your wounds, your failures, your disappointments. This doesn't mean you forget the past. It doesn't mean you pretend things didn't happen. It means you stop letting the past define your present. You acknowledge what was, you learn from it, and then you release it. You forgive the people who hurt you, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. You let go of the mistakes you made, not because they weren't real, but because you're more than the worst thing you've ever done. You release the beliefs that limit you, not because they were never true, but because they're no longer true. Think about how much mental and emotional energy you're expending on things that are already over, replaying conversations, obsessing over what you should have said or done, wondering what if and if only. All of that energy could be directed toward creating your future. All of that space could be filled with new possibilities, but first you have to be willing to let go. You have to be willing to create space for something new. The eighth thing you must tell yourself every day is, I am worthy of my dreams. This is a big one. So many people sabotage their own success because deep down, they don't believe they deserve it. They work hard, they make progress, and then right when they're about to break through, they do something to mess it up. They procrastinate, they pick a fight, they engage in self-destructive behavior, and it all comes back to worthiness. Maybe you grew up being told you'd never amount to anything. Maybe you internalize messages that people like you don't get to have what you want. Maybe you made mistakes in the past and you're punishing yourself by keeping yourself small. Whatever the reason, if you don't believe you're worthy of your dreams, you'll unconsciously prevent yourself from achieving them. But here's the truth, your dreams weren't placed in your heart by accident. Those desires, those visions of what could be, they're there for a reason. They're invitations, they're possibilities, they're your soul's way of pointing you toward your purpose. And if you have the dream, you have the capacity to achieve it. The universe doesn't set you up for failure. It doesn't give you desires it has no intention of helping you fulfill. When you wake up every morning and declare, I am worthy of my dreams, you're reprogramming your subconscious mind. You're overriding all those old messages that told you to settle, to play small, to not want too much. You're affirming that you deserve success, happiness, abundance, love, and anything else your heart desires. Not because you're special or better than anyone else, but because worthiness is your natural state. You were born worthy, and nothing you've done or failed to do has changed that. The ninth and final thing to tell yourself is, today I choose to show up as the best version of myself. You're not perfect and you never will be, and that's okay. But you can always be better than you were yesterday. You can always make choices that align with your highest values. You can always treat people with kindness and respect. You can always do your work with excellence. You can always bring more consciousness to your actions and words. Every day is a new opportunity to show up fully, to be present, to be intentional, to be the person you want to be rather than the person you've always been. Most people live on autopilot. They wake up and repeat the same patterns, make the same choices, react in the same ways, and then they wonder why their lives don't change. But when you make a conscious decision each morning to show up as your best self, everything shifts. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It means you have to be present. It means you notice when you're about to react out of habit and you choose a different response. It means you catch yourself before you say something unkind and you choose compassion instead. It means you recognize when you're about to take the easy path and you choose integrity instead. Little by little, choice by choice, you become more of who you truly are and less of who you were conditioned to be. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. These are just words. How can words really change anything? But let me tell you something about words. Words are powerful. Words create reality. Everything that exists in the physical world started as a thought, as words spoken either out loud or in someone's mind. The chair you're sitting on was once just an idea. The building you're in was once just a blueprint, just words on paper. Your relationships, your career, your entire life experience has been shaped by words, by the stories you tell yourself about who you are and what's possible for you. The problem is that most people are completely unconscious of the words they're speaking to themselves. They let their minds run wild with negative self-talk, with worry, with doubt, with criticism, and then they wonder why they feel anxious, depressed, stuck, unfulfilled. But when you take control of your internal dialogue, when you become deliberate about the words you speak to yourself, you literally begin to rewire your brain. Neuroscience has proven this. What you focus on grows. What you think about expands. The neural pathways you repeatedly activate become stronger. So when you tell yourself every single day, I am enough, your brain starts looking for evidence that supports that belief. When you tell yourself, I am responsible for my own happiness, you start noticing all the ways you can create joy in your life. When you tell yourself, I choose love over fear, you become more aware of when fear is driving your decisions and you consciously choose differently. These statements aren't just positive thinking. They're not just affirmations. They're redirections. They're recalibrations. They're ways of aligning your conscious mind with your highest truth. But here's the thing. You have to mean it. You can't just say these words mechanically while your mind is somewhere else. You have to speak them with intention. You have to feel them. You have to let them sink in. Maybe you spend 5 minutes each morning sitting quietly, breathing slowly, and speaking each statement out loud or silently with full presence and attention. Maybe you write them down in a journal. Maybe you look at yourself in the mirror and say them while looking into your own eyes. The method doesn't matter as much as the commitment. This isn't something you do once and expect your life to transform overnight. This is a practice. This is something you do every single day, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. Because the days when it's hardest to affirm these truths are the days when you need them most. The days when you wake up feeling discouraged, defeated, doubtful, those are the days when choosing to speak words of power can literally save your life. And yes, at first it might feel awkward. It might feel like you're lying to yourself. If you've spent years believing you're not enough, telling yourself you are enough might feel false. If you've spent years blaming other people for your unhappiness, taking responsibility might feel uncomfortable. If you've spent years operating from fear, choosing love might feel risky. But feeling false doesn't mean it is false. It just means you're not used to it yet. Think about learning any new skill. The first time you tried to ride a bike, it felt unnatural and scary. The first time you tried to speak a new language, the words felt strange in your mouth. The first time you tried to play an instrument, your fingers didn't know where to go. But you didn't give up. You practiced. You repeated the movements over and over until they became natural. And eventually, what once felt impossible became second nature. It's the same with these statements. At first, your old conditioning will resist. Your ego will tell you you're being delusional. Your inner critic will mock you. Your doubt will try to convince you that words can't really change anything. But if you persist, if you keep showing up every single day and speaking these truths to yourself, something remarkable happens. Your brain starts to believe it. Your energy starts to shift. Your actions start to align. And your external reality begins to reflect your internal transformation. I've seen this happen thousands of times. People who were stuck for years suddenly break through. People who were depressed suddenly find joy. People who were broke suddenly attract abundance. People who were lonely suddenly find connection. And when you ask them what changed, they always say the same thing. I changed. I changed the way I was thinking. I changed the way I was speaking to myself. I changed the story I was telling about my life. This is the power you have. This is the gift you've been given. You get to choose what you believe about yourself. You get to choose what you expect from life. You get to choose who you're going to be today. And these 9 statements, these 9 simple declarations, they're tools to help you make that choice consciously instead of unconsciously. I am enough exactly as I am right now reminds you of your inherent worth. I am responsible for my own happiness gives you back your power. I choose love over fear in every situation, keeps you expansive instead of contracted. I trust the timing of my life helps you surrender control. I am willing to see things differently, opens you to new possibilities. I am connected to an infinite source of wisdom and creativity, reminds you you're never alone. I release what no longer serves me, frees you from the past. I am worthy of my dreams, gives you permission to succeed. Today I choose to show up as the best version of myself, commits you to growth. These aren't just pretty words to make you feel good temporarily. These are foundational truths that, when integrated into your consciousness, have the power to transform every aspect of your life. Your relationships improve because you stop needing other people to complete you. Your career flourishes because you stop playing small. Your health improves because you stop treating your body like it's the enemy. Your creativity flows because you stop blocking it with fear and doubt. Your purpose becomes clear because you stop listening to all the noise and you start listening to your inner wisdom. But it all starts with a decision to take control of your mind instead of letting your mind control you, a decision to speak life instead of death, a decision to be intentional instead of reactive, a decision to believe in yourself even when nobody else does, a decision to keep going even when it's hard, a decision to trust the process even when you can't see the results yet. You have 9 things to tell yourself every single day, 9 truths that can anchor you when life gets chaotic, 9 reminders that can redirect you when you get off course, 9 declarations that can empower you when you feel weak, 9 affirmations that can lift you up when you're feeling down. Use them. Practice them, live them, and watch what happens. Watch how your life begins to shift in ways that seem almost miraculous, but are actually just the natural result of aligning your thoughts and words with your highest potential. This is not magic. This is not wishful thinking. This is how transformation works. This is how you change your life from the inside out. You don't wait for circumstances to change. You don't wait for other people to change. You don't wait for some external force to rescue you. You start right where you are with the most powerful tool you have, your mind, and you use it deliberately to create the life you want. So tomorrow morning when you wake up, before you check your phone, before you turn on the news, before you start thinking about all the things you have to do, take a moment, take a few minutes, sit quietly, breathe, and speak these truths to yourself. Say them out loud, feel them in your body, let them sink into your heart. Do it the next day, and the next day, and the day after that. Make it a non-negotiable part of your morning routine, like brushing your teeth or taking a shower. Some days you'll believe them completely. Other days you'll struggle to believe them at all. That's okay. Say them anyway. Because you're not just speaking to your conscious mind, you're speaking to your subconscious mind, to the part of you that's running the show behind the scenes. You're planting seeds, you're laying down new neural pathways, you're creating new possibilities, and eventually, inevitably, if you stay committed to this practice, those seeds will sprout, those pathways will become highways, those possibilities will become realities. Your life is waiting for you to claim it. Your potential is waiting for you to activate it. Your dreams are waiting for you to pursue them. And it all begins with the words you speak to yourself when nobody else is listening. Make them words of truth. Make them words of power. Make them words that honor who you truly are and who you're becoming. Because you are enough. You are responsible. You can choose love. You can trust the timing. You can see differently. You are connected. You can release. You are worthy. And you can show up. These aren't just 9 things to tell yourself. These are 9 keys that can unlock a life beyond what you've ever imagined possible. Use them. Not someday. Not when you feel ready, not when circumstances are perfect. Now, today, this moment, because this moment is all you have and it's the only moment you need to begin.